Good to have you in. Weekend editions here with the Average Joe Sports Show. Not quite full strength, but still good enough to get 4th and 1 handle. That's the pride of Fairbury. It's Bill Doleman. Mr. Mark Kraynak, award winner. Elijah Herbal is on assignment in Breckenridge, not Austin.
He's in Breck now.
He's in Breckenridge.
Jeez.
You know, all those ski town resort places, they're the one spot in Colorado, many of them, that don't have dispensaries, which is quite shocking.
Did you hear that from Elijah?
No, I no.
Like, Chris, guess what? I was going to come back with that those cans of
I was going to come back
pre-rolled for you, but
well, you know, brother, you've known me, both of you know me long enough to know that me and the smoke aren't a thing.
Right, which is why you do gummies on a daily basis.
Well, no, I'm just naturally a whack job. It's got nothing to do with the gummies. But good to have all the Joes already in. OG Steve says the guys are going to be later than Tubby trying to avoid a pass rush. Wait, we have a new quarterback that's mobile. Yeah. Over under on start time 7:47.
Oh, that was optimistic.
Well, I've been up
even on a good day. That's optimistic.
I've been up since 6, and computer's been set up since 6:30. And dogs are fed, dogs are out again.
Well, our production meeting went a little long.
It did.
Sometimes that's why we're ish. We had the production meeting, and then coffee.
I had to run down the Big Ten Media Day RSVPs, which is going to be quite nice in Chicago. Tuesday afternoon flight. If the flights work out, Tuesday afternoon in Chicago, Wednesday, Thursday for sure. So we've got a whole lot of maybe head coaches coming by, but at least they've said, at least they didn't say go to hell, which is great. Yeah. Talk asking the important questions as well. Do we have the date set for the official spreadsheet pick'em challenge? Shouldn't we have a Joe's webpage where we can lock in all of our preseason predictions?
Sounds like a lot of tech.
We have the Average Joe merch page on most of our platforms, and ironically all three of us don't have Average Joe gear, but Elijah and his roommates do, so we'll do that.
Well, that's good. Wow, I can see where his priorities lie.
Well,
especially since he was in Austin a week ago. Now he's in Breckenridge. So let's see. He's just going to like country music concerts, rock concerts, doing mushrooms. Now he's got.
Let's not accuse.
That's what happens in Austin. Apparently, keep Austin weird. And then he's out on the lakes. And then now he's making a THC run in Colorado, but discovering that he checked into the wrong place.
He is going to have one. He is going to have the best spreadsheet in 2026, isn't he? So I think we target next Saturday for the spreadsheet reveal. Tuck says
we're behind.
42 days till kickoff. Wonder if we'll have a season like Minnesota's game last year. We have a new member of the Average Joe family. It went from Coach Foley to Coach Orich.
Oh.
And
he's pissed off.
Yeah, he's ticked off. Robert
Coach,
is in.
I bet you he's instilling that in the defense. That
I
attitude.
think so too.
He's instilling that just physical, get mad at the world. Good job, Coach. We're looking forward to that. Hopefully, it leads to good statistics.
Right. Robert says tick, tick, tick. 42 more days. Pretty good. Corn Raider says. Billy D will pop in on time. The others know. Bill's been up since 3 a.m. Having to pee. Everybody's lively this morning. Black Hills Brennan in. I hope you've got a tea time, dude. One last Saturday this month. Rocco is here. We're getting closer. Love Doug in Idaho checking in. And Brian.
Actually, I wish that I think we should change his name to that. That kind of rolls off the tongue. Love Doug in Idaho. Right? Love Doug.
Coeur d'Alene, baby. I need to go play some golf there. Vince is in from Napa.
Kilkenny salmon he was talking about there. Do you see that? You got to go back to Love Doug.
Okay.
He was talking about a specific kind of salmon, it appears.
Okay.
In Coeur d'Alene. Never heard of those. Have you?
I am not a salmon eater nor catcher. So.
Oh, you're not. Bill, you a salmon guy?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're different. There's a big difference. You do the sockeye, it's a little leaner, it's darker, it's a little tougher. The Atlantic salmon typically is just farm raised salmon where it's just a bunch of salmon swimming around in their own feces, and then it's
as fish do.
Not good. Not quite as healthy. Well, but the feces doesn't have as much room to spread.
Dear God.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'm just
It's
telling
not-
you.
Speaking
it's not as
of,
good as the salmon that we catch in the Little Blue River outside Fairbury. That's
Oh, right.
excellent.
Now, those salmon, you talk about determined. I mean, for them to make it all the way from the Pacific,
they're hardy.
that is,
Yeah.
they're pretty muscle bound by the time they get there, though.
Yeah.
you mentioned waste, Kraynak, and I've got the question for the Joes in the stream this morning, and in one of the
Quite the
national,
segue.
well, it kind of is. One of the national headlines has been cyclospora.
Oh, that's right.
And I got to ask the average Joe fans, the Nebraska fans that have checked in this morning, would you be willing to trade a bout of cyclospora for 8 wins?
For 8? No,
For 8.
not for 8. Not for 8.
I'm
I
not
don't even
talking
want a common cold for
hospitalization.
that.
I'm not talking hospitalization. Just talking missing work for a while and losing about 20 pounds.
Oh God! And then coming up to the toilet and having to decide: am I sitting down or am I kneeling?
Am I going 8?
No.
Am I going 8 wins or no?
I'm not even doing a bout of allergies for 8.
Okay.
9? Now we're maybe 9. 10. Ebola. Just inject. Like, whatever. Just bring it on.
I'm going to go out in style with a double-digit season. That's pretty good.
3-putt said I'd do a parasite for 9. This is the ultimate test of fandom for your team. Like, Nebraska fans proportionately have more fans that would take on a parasite if it meant 9 wins than any other program. I'm convinced of that.
Game Dog's standard is that of the 90s, and I appreciate that. It's natty or bust.
That's right.
That's pretty good.
But if
That's
that
got to
many,
be the goal every year.
if that many people sacrifice their intestinal
Fortitude.
fortitude, shall we say, there wouldn't be anybody going to the game if they made the playoff.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
Actually, fans are pretty loyal. I think
resilient.
they'd still try to do it.
They may go the Green Bay Packer fandom route.
God.
Game Dog, thank you for the research. This is my fact checker here. Breckenridge has dispensaries. How do I know?
Yeah.
I just thought everything was like Estes, where there's a city code, $48 t-shirts, and no dispensaries. So,
But you don't need to. There's no oxygen up there anyways, so you're already just loopy, right?
Estes is a little more on the family-friendly side.
yeah.
You go to Breckenridge and all the other mountain towns.
There's a
Yeah.
hippie element.
Yeah, you got a mindset.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just like to alter.
Yeah.
Apparently,
escape a little.
Black Hills Brennan does not have his March Madness polo yet.
You ask Colorado fans, would you get high on THC for 1 win? Yep. Yep. They sure would.
No, you flip it around. Would you abstain for 9 wins, for 10 wins?
You might get jumped. You might get jumped.
Yeah.
It would take like 10 of them, but yeah.
They travel in packs. Guys, what's tripping your trigger this morning as it pertains to Nebraska football? There's been quite a few storylines. I enjoy the countdowns by our friends at the World Herald and Husker 24/7 Sports when it comes to most indispensable Huskers, most valuable Huskers, and then the different storylines that are coming out with the offense. Of course, a few of the players have popped on by the Husker Network, and they do a great job with their interviews. And I'm intrigued. I've heard enough about the offensive line to feel like, there's a chance there for Nebraska football. I'm intrigued by Calandria. And Bill, I know we touched on it a little bit yesterday, but the backyard football element of Nebraska's offense, which will be fun, especially if it ends in some big plays and some scores for Nebraska. But I guess I got to kind of drill down here on the complementary football part of this. And you look at the teams Nebraska's trying to chase. You look at the teams that you would like to feel that Nebraska looks like, right? Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and they're not because they haven't beaten them.
Oh, that sucks to say out loud.
But
yeah,
right. But and that is you're solid in several areas, and that solid performance or consistency wins a lot of ball games despite maybe pedestrian or underperforming or boring offenses. But there is one side of the football that is dominant, that helps win, and then you get enough help throughout a ball game by the offense or special teams or defense and special teams. You have the two phases that can help make a four-quarter end the right way. And Nebraska has been in search of ... a lot over, let's just say, 10 years, not just the last 3. And there's been some moments where you've had both sides of the football play well, and you've not been a complete tire fire with special teams. So it's worked out okay. You had to go back 10 years for the 16 team, but. I'm kind of intrigued with, what is the timeline for the defense? What do you get from some of your upperclassmen on the interior or in that front six specifically? And then, what's the ask for the offense this season?
Man, there's a bunch of them, aren't there? One thing that just kept coming to mind as you were talking about the offensive line is just the ability to close out a game, close it out,
have the lead, go 4-minute drill.
And you think back, and it's really since it's tough to say because against maybe lesser competition, you could even say Nebraska had that with a Zigbo to some degree, but just the ability to milk clock, close it out. It's really been since Abdullah. Maybe a little bit with the Zigbo as you were trying to transition, everything that first year for Frost. But Nebraska's been missing that because all those teams you mentioned, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, in general, that's what they've been able to do to Nebraska. Close them out, right? Close them out, lean on their offensive line that usually has, at minimum 2 NFL guys on their offensive line. Just about. And Nebraska hasn't been able to do that. Just that alone. You think back to God, I think it was against Iowa with Rex Burkhead, the freezing game. Yeah. When it was negative, or when it was like 25 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour winds or whatever.
21-7.
Yeah, when it was time to close it out, it was Rex right, Rex left, Rex up the middle. Close this thing out. That's what I want to see. More and it's great if you get Calandria running around and playmaking. It's awesome if you get your receivers downfield. I'm not saying I want that instead of being able to score and actually complete passes. I'm just saying let's have a team where you can shut it down. You get that lead, you sit on it, you lean on them, you wear a defense out, game over. If it's ugly, fine. But Nebraska's inability to do that has been pretty brutal to watch for a long time.
Have the lead and be able to salt it away. Brandon Vogel with us, counterread.com. Vogues, are you and the family truckster? Another adventure this weekend?
No adventure, but yes, I am. I am in the family truckster, so like the postal service through all kinds of weather. I'll be here on Saturday somehow, some way.
You have exceptional clarity right now, like visually. I don't know if you got like 6G going on where you're at, but seriously.
5G plus.
Okay.
If
Is
it was
what we got
6G,
here.
he'd be glowing. But anyway,
So we have asked the Nebraska fan base this morning, would you trade a bout with Cyclospora for 8 wins? Vogues, any bargaining you remember as a kid growing up for your favorite team? You were a Cubs guy.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, I don't recall any specifically. To the Husker question, I think I just take my chances without the Cyclospora at getting to 8-4. I don't think it's crazy.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it's probable, but it's not crazy.
yeah, no deals with the devil. Somebody wrote that I got up at 3:00 this morning for certain reasons. I was up until 3:00 this morning watching, for whatever reason, the 96 Fiesta Bowl came up on my algorithm feed, and I of course watched it. And so what you're talking about this morning is really depressing me, because when you
why you show up, we're here for you.
I'm thinking about the gummies and all that stuff, and
Elijah's in Colorado, a little reference point.
Yeah, you watch that game, which, by the way, I had forgotten that Nebraska had to come from behind to win that game, 62-24. But when you watch just how methodical it was offensively, how vicious it was defensively, and how certain it was in special teams, and the total confidence that you had with what was going on the sidelines, and then you realize we're going to come in and talk about the next season, thinking that, they've got a quarterback that should make them better than they were the last couple of years, because he fits in. We've talked about this ad nauseum, fits in with what the offensive coordinator seemingly wants to do, probably more in line with what Nebraska football wants to see in its quarterback. And yet Nebraska could be better, and the record will be the same or maybe even worse. Hoping for 8-4, but 6-6 a possibility. And I know less than that, but Nebraska could be better and the results not be. And we might have a season that we, like watching that team week in and week out, just as college football observers, that's a pretty fun team to watch. Quarterback's got some personality and character on the field. The defense seems to be better under the new guy. The offensive line, there's productivity with the new coach. But the schedule's too daunting, and it's another 6-6, 7-5 season, sweating it out in November or suffering through in November. That's what we could be headed for. And when you watch the 96 Orange Bowl and think about the prospects for this year, it can be a little depressing. The Fiesta Bowl.
Oh. Yeah.
Vogues, wanted to ask you, we were kind of laying out the offense, and I know you spent time on the Nebraska part of the offense, the defense, and where things can go this season. I know you've been doing a great job each week with a couple of different columns, you and Aaron, on the outlook, the numbers game, the schedule. I mean, all of it's a part of it. And when you said not probable but possible with that 8-win number, what does it come down to for you this year with this Nebraska, whether it is a depressing November or just you're not quite there yet? You can have, and listen, there's not enough lipstick. Nebraska fans don't want another 1-3 November. That being said, it can look way better than last November. I mean, there is signs of progress. Ultimately, yes, it's that win column.
Yeah, it is. I mean, so I think there's a couple of things that kind of explored at Counter Read over the past, couple of months, really. The path to 8-4, I think the shortest way to get there is if these coaching changes like work out someplace close to their potential.
Mhm.
And talk mostly about Orich, but all of the new assistants defensively, particularly those on the line, and then Jeep Wade. So those are coaches that you look at the resume, and we've all had plenty of time to do that now since December or January, whenever those were made official. Um, Pretty good coaches, pretty good track records. So if they get close to that, this is one of the things I wrote about, I think last month was, you know, Nebraska might have a coaching edge in, 6 games, might be kind of up for grabs in 2. And, I did this thing where I looked at coaching edge and talent edge and what it's meant over the previous 3 seasons for Nebraska and kind of used that to try and extrapolate a record. You can get close to 8-4 with that methodology. I also think you mentioned November, Schmitty. It's tough. Like back-to-back road games at Illinois and Rutgers are not going to be an easy swing. That Illinois game's on a Friday night. That said, Illinois and Rutgers are games that Nebraska can win. Like they absolutely can win those, even though they're on the road. So do that, go 2-2 in November. And yeah, I think you are then you should be flirting with 8-4, assuming you don't have a slip up somewhere along the way that's particularly egregious, which would be non-conference play. And maybe those first 2 Big Ten games against Michigan State and Maryland.
Yeah, we just saw the comment in the stream. I'm tired of hearing about the schedule and how tough it is. This is not the Sun Belt, right? Man up and get the job done. I hear you. We hear you, Nick.
Agree.
But it's been a factor. It's been a factor for Nebraska. It shouldn't be like that. You would hope with the billions of dollars that are generated and the fan support and all those things, the recruiting rankings. It should not be like that. But it's like that. It's like that.
It is. And I mean, and I think Rule's in the same spot. And I know a lot of fans are, and I think we all are. Simply put, Nebraska did not face a team that made the playoff last year. This year, they've got 3 that were in last year's playoff, and at least 2 teams on their schedule will be in the playoff, maybe 3.
Yeah. Vogues, if we kind of did this exercise earlier in the week, it was in reference to the pick 3 with the ticketing, right? You can pick 3 games and find your way to see either Ohio State or Indiana, and also bite the bullet for the 2 of the non-conferences or another Big Ten bowl game. I'm not quite sure of the setup, but if you had to circle the 3 most important games or the 3 games that'll tell a story for Nebraska 2026, what are those 3 games?
Well, Michigan State, for one.
It's been kind of unanimous. Vogel, did we lose you, bud? He is frozen.
It was such a good question. I think he's just mesmerized by it.
Really thinking it through.
I mean, that deep in thought, you see the wheels turning.
Yeah.
So
the 6G, like, but did you notice though? Did you notice how clear he was? I think that's
I do. I don't know if Vogues has to sneak out into the vehicle or just wants a different venue, a different vibe for 2026. Vogues, I don't know where the question trailed off or what you got, but in reference to the pick 3, 3 most important games for Nebraska this year, the 3 that will tell the story. I said, for me, Michigan State. Is it another year where Nebraska is an 0-for to start conference play? I said Indiana, defending national champ. That's your measuring stick game. And then how are you at the end of the year? Iowa. Yeah. There's others. There's more than 3 options, but those are the 3 I picked. What 3 kind of come to your mind this morning?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Washington's definitely in there. Washington's a team that is, I would say, better than Nebraska right now, but narrowly. And like Nebraska, it's a team that Nebraska could realistically jump in the Big Ten, I think, based on how we look at it now. I'd put the Indiana game in there for sure. It's a chance to take a swing against what's going to be an undefeated opponent, the defending national champs, on your home field early in the season. Like, that's going to tell me a lot about like where this team is probably headed. And if it looks like the last Nebraska-Indiana game, batten down the hatches for the rest of the season, I'm afraid. And then I would put that road trip to Illinois in there.
Okay.
That's another one with a team that is more buttoned up than Nebraska has been. This won, I think, 20 or 19 games the past 2 seasons. Can you go on the road and do that on a Friday? When the head coach has a lot of thoughts about travel and playing games on Fridays, etc. Like, block it all out, go get it done against Brett Bielema. An Illinois team that has a lot of turnover on its coaching staff as well, and also just has to replace a lot from those teams that won 19 games, I think, the past 2 seasons.
Illinois is a tougher opponent. And it's an opponent that is going to be better theoretically by November. So it's a tougher test than Michigan State, but it's a bigger swing game for sure. But historically, I mean, Nebraska's been really bad at starting out 1-0 in conference play the last 10 years. I mean, how many times has it happened? It's happened in 2016 and then win. Because I don't did it happen when in 2022 with Mickey and the Indiana win? I don't. It's maybe they're 1-9 in conference openers. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's probably close to that. I'm trying to. Who did they open with in 24? Because you didn't do it last year against Michigan. You lost to Minnesota in Rule's first game.
But Pearl Jam was great, right, Kraynak?
It was pretty good. Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's a good point, Schmidt, and a good argument for taking Michigan State over that. Like, Michigan State's gonna be completely new as well. You can take advantage of that more at the end of September. Like, Illinois has to replace a lot. By the time you get to November, it will have been replaced. However you're going to replace it. So I could go that route. I could swap in Michigan State for Illinois.
3 most important games: Ohio, Bowling Green, and North Dakota. I mean, if Nebraska goes 3-0 and beats all the. Remember the North Dakota game a couple of years ago? It took like a 4th down conversion in Nebraska's own territory to really kind of secure that game, as I recall. It was like a 3rd down and 15 or something from the 5, and converts it, and it's like, okay, we can breathe a little easy now. I mean, if those games are 17-14, 21-17, and 28-14, I think that's a bad 3-0, right? Now, those 3 aside, you secure the MAC championship. There, you would look at probably the winnable games within your neighborhood of the Big Ten. Winnable game would be Illinois. Winnable, I think you'd say Washington. You got to beat Maryland and Rutgers. Iowa, maybe. So if you can beat Washington, Illinois, and Iowa, that would probably be, you might be able to move into a different neighborhood, I suppose. But Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, I don't know.
P Magic says, how many games has Nebraska lost in the Rule era not taking points? Now, I'll say this. The other side of that coin is, do we know the field goal was going to be good?
I know.
Last year, you had pretty good confidence that it was, but
Yeah.
I'm glad P Magic mentioned that because I've actually been pulling together all of Nebraska's fourth down plays of the
Oh, wow.
working on that and using there's expected points, there's expected field goal points even out there where you can just it just becomes a math problem of like, here's the expectation. And I mean, this is the data that like Rule and a lot of other coaches are consulting. They've just got the chart and it says this. But what I want to try and add to it is like, okay, here's what Nebraska was actually capable of. Here was Nebraska's actual expectation of success, not the average team's expectation of success. And we'll see where it comes out. I mean, there were, once you get down into the red zone, like, or particularly down inside the 10. Nebraska, I think, came up empty on 6 of those a year ago, where they went for the touchdown, came up empty. The math says it was the right call, but you got to look at all of these other things. I think, and get a little bit more in the weeds than just the simple chart might tell you.
It's how do you gauge momentum or loss of momentum, right? I mean, that's really it. So Anonymous, thanks for the research this morning. 2019, that thing was a bloodbath. Nebraska barely won that one and got, as Frosty would say, out hit. Lovey's Illinois team sent some dudes to the hospital. They were really, really, really physical that game. And then here comes game day, and the nuclear bomb dropped the following week.
If Nebraska had kicked the field goal against Indiana in Bloomington a couple of years ago, and there was no confidence in the field goal.
10-3, right? It's 10-3.
But there was no confidence in the kicking game. So they go for it, and the points don't go on the board, and that gave Indiana momentum. If Nebraska kicks the field goal, gets the points, changes the game, completely changes the trajectory of the Signetti era in Indiana. So Nebraska's incompetence in field goals kicking in 2 years ago, because you figure you get the points, you're going to get the win. I said sarcastically.
By the way, I just found a very obscure stat that I was not aware of, if this is correct. Nebraska on 4th downs. Wow. Have we talked about this? Nebraska on 4th downs running the ball last year. 18 carries, 1 yard. Like, I'm kind of rereading that. I'm just like,
how many sacks?
18 carries, 1 yard. That is a 0.06 yards per carry.
Is that true?
I'm shocked by it. Now listen to this. The long run, 2 yards. Nebraska. So 18 4th down running plays. Nebraska has gotten a yard last year.
Okay, now there could be some sacks, right?
Could
Nebraska
goes
for it, gets sacked.
You would hope.
There's a loss of 14.
Let's see if I can figure that out. I'm gonna work on that here. Situational stats, passing offense. I'm not seeing that. Split stats.
Regardless, that's a demoralizing number, right?
It's not very good. This just in.
Well, there's always the Pinstripe Bowl, Vogues.
Right. Well, I can't remember off the top of my head. I just looked at it last week. Like, their 4th down conversion rate, just generally, I think was in the 120s nationally. Like, and that kind of goes to what we were talking about of like, sure, the expected value of going for it is there. It's apparent. It's obvious for everybody to see. But by the time you're 6 games into 2025, you kind of got to realize, like, it might say that, but we're having a hard time doing it at an average level. So it and it just didn't feel like Nebraska's strategy changed to reflect that.
Yeah, fourth down conversions in general for Nebraska, 28 attempts, they converted 10. I can't imagine that's really good. So if you compare it to the rest of the country.
Yeah, some of them, I'm sure you're trailing and you've got to go for it, and it's brutal down in distance. But yeah, the 4th and short, don't kid yourself. I mean, you wanted to keep momentum, to keep the pressure on your opponent, and we all kind of, at least I do. I think back to the Michigan game early, right? And that's the one where everyone's going armchair quarterback. But man, if you could have got a lead there, the halftime was deceiving. Great individual effort by Barney to get it to 17-17, but you just didn't have it. Folks, they just didn't have answers at the right time offensively, and they just didn't have many answers defensively against teams that were okay with living and dying with their run game. There's teams like Maryland that felt necessary to use Malik, and he's awesome, and I can't wait to watch him in Lincoln this year. But you just had teams, Lincoln Riley, and how SC was held to 6 points when they were in the red zone. It felt like twice every quarter. They came from behind to win, but it was the quarterback run game, and King, whatever his last name is, the walk-on phenom that was doing his Bam Cunningham impersonation when they finally let him run the football. I mean, there was some coaches that got in their own way that made either a close loss or a close win tougher. And I think that's part of it. I mean, that get in your own way factor, that's been plaguing Nebraska for multiple staffs.
Well, yeah, it has. And I mean, I think that's part of can the vision feel more cohesive? Because that USC game is a good example. That's still the worst passing game of Jaden Mayava's career.
I know.
He was like 9 for 20 or something. And so Butler was over there doing his thing. And we kind of know pass defense was his thing, and the results kind of showed that maybe it was at expense of other things. So you had that one. A week later, Nebraska wins the game, but Iamaleava runs all over them to a degree he wasn't doing the rest of the season. It's just it hasn't felt tightly knit, I guess, when you factor in both sides of the ball, and also special teams improved to a great degree. But it also kind of felt Eckler's over there just doing his thing, and with how that whole thing played out, was additional evidence of maybe this wasn't as kind of tight a group of coaches as you needed to be better than 7-5. And oh, by the way, love Archie Wilson, love the element he brings, but Nebraska's punting was last in the Big Ten in terms of average yards per punt. I know some of that is, you're trying to you're not trying to boom it as far as you can, but that's an area that hasn't been discussed a lot this offseason. That'll be interesting for 2026 too.
By the way, just realized that John Butler was the first guy to punish Sorsby for gambling when he threw it into the corner of the end zone.
That's right.
And there was Malcolm.
That's your guy. That's been your guy forever.
I mean, Hartzog. Yeah. I think he's a bigger loss than it seems like. Anytime that you're able to step onto the campus and immediately get thrown into the starting lineup in a secondary that has 15 other scholarship guys, I mean, he's won the confidence of multiple staffs at multiple positions, and I think he was put in positions that he shouldn't have been in, but he was their best option.
Corner.
So losing a guy like that, that's not him. That's not him. He's a poor man's honey badger.
He's an absolute target and was a problem in some key moments, and he kept swinging to his credit, but he was put in tough positions in man coverage with his height and size against bigger wide receivers a lot in his career. When he's a safety, he's making picks and bringing it back down to the 5-yard line against Ohio State where you don't score.
Yeah, and the fact that he was, imagine if it wasn't him ISO'd on a on a given receiver, right? It probably would have been worse, because he was their best option according to multiple staffs. So I think it's not a good loss. To me, that's not an addition by subtraction situation. But man, let's see what MD has to say.
MD. Let's give Vogues a question before he's got to get out here. Can we expect the defensive numbers to be better because that dumb three-man front is gone? If you got Polar Bear and Ty, take a drink. That three-man front's all right, folks.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think it doesn't have to have as much to do with, your defensive front. I think the big potential advantage with Orich and the system they're going to run, it's been simplified. Like it's guys know where they need to be. Nebraska, and because it was struggling in particular up front, which wasn't necessarily because it was 3-man. I think it was because of how that group was
the 3 men.
Yeah, I mean they were stunting and doing all this stuff all the time, and it's not like Nebraska's all that's off the board, but from what I've heard, Orich's basic approach is like, let's just streamline this. Let's bring it all down so everyone can understand like where they want to be and where they need to be on each given play, and then go play defense. I mean, it's reactive by nature, and that's what defines good defense versus bad defenses. Do guys feel empowered to react decisively? And I think that'll be a change that we do see for Nebraska this year.
Which is why if you watch the 96 Fiesta Bowl at 3:00 in the morning, it is quite depressing to watch that and realize what you might be seeing again this year. But see ball, hit ball, second down, right?
Yeah. Vogues, what's coming up this week? Big Ten Media Days in Chicago is going to be insightful and entertaining, we hope. What's on the docket for Counter Read?
Yeah, that'll be the big story of the week and provide plenty of fodder. Like I think it's going to be pretty sedate for Nebraska, both in terms of what is said, but also in terms
and
of
for Chris and me. But go ahead.
Yeah, outside interest in what the Huskers are looking like for 2026. But I'll be a lot of the interesting stuff. I think comes big picture. I'm interested in what Bob Chesney is like, up at the podium in his Big Ten debut with UCLA.
We're in Los Angeles.
Yep.
A big city.
So that'll be part of it. And like I said, I have been kind of pulling numbers together like a dog with a bone. I need to figure out the answer for Nebraska's fourth down performance over the past 3 seasons. Like, certainly doesn't seem like it's been optimal. Was it defensible? We'll find out.
It's Brandon Vogel, Counter Read, counterread.com. Get subscribed, and Vogues, tell folks about Counter Read, how they get a part of it for another football season of coverage.
Yeah, they can head to counterread.com and see what we're all about there. We do 4 newsletters a week for now. Usually during football season, we bump that up to 5. Subscribers get exclusive access to a couple of those, and we do a couple of free ones each week too, just to give people a look at what we're up to. So you can head to counterread.com and see what we're doing.
Folks, thanks for the car report this morning. We always appreciate your time, brother.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, good to spend time with Brandon Vogel here on Counter Read, counterread.com. The Iron Horse is in. Gary Sharp. Big thanks to Vogues. And quick word from our friends at Gary Michaels is we are off to Chicago.
Whoa. What's up?
Whoa.
What's up? You got a sponsor?
We are off to Chicago. Thanks to Uncle Nate.
Wow.
Nate Rutt, owner of Gary Michaels.
We're finally going to get checks for doing this?
No.
No, absolutely not.
How about a bow tie?
We've covered the
cufflinks.
Well, you can go see Nate. You can go see Gary. You can go see Fabian. And they are celebrating all July long America 250, which means a $250 reduction off any suit or sport coat pant combo.
That's what I'm talking about.
On top of it, we're talking their entire inventory: Caruso, Oxford, Heritage Gold, Jack Victor, Paul Bentley, and of course Uncle Nate making it happen. If you purchase that suit or sport coat, they're teaming up with their neckwear vendors. And think of Gary Michaels and all the ties they have
Annie knee
made happen for the
collection.
years.
Yeah.
Carson Schmidt senior picture. So they are teaming that up. You get a free American flag themed tie with said purchase. Get that reservation. Go stop on by 5720 Endicott Drive.
Competition's giving out North Korea ties.
Go see
You make
Uncle
your choice.
Nate.
You make your choice.
Go see Navat.
Yeah.
Go see Fabian. 402-423-SUIT. GaryMichaels.com. We appreciate
Not a single Kim Jong-un tie in that inventory. Not
great
one.
folks at Gary Michaels helping get us to Chicago. So should be all good. Quick word and shout out to them. Sharpie, how are you? That's a
job.
good word, man.
Hey, I love Navat and Nate, and I've known them for a long time, and they've been a great friend to the show for many, 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 many years. I hate to break this to you guys. When we get to Thursday in Chicago, you get 18 teams over 3 days. Nebraska is going to be boring, and that's
It's okay. Yeah.
because
It's
they're on
okay.
the same day as Indiana. So Signetti and Indiana will suck the oxygen out of the room, and rightfully so, because they can beat their chest and they can walk in there like Vince McMahon. But I think when and listen, we like talking season. All right, talking season is here. It's kind of now the end of summer this week, and then camp begins next week or the following week. I think the biggest buzz and the most questions that Nebraska will get that, like have some meat to them will be about a guy that's not there.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that was
Calandria.
on the radio the other night in Calandria. So it's okay for Nebraska to be boring because that's kind of the mindset they've taken. How would you like to be the person that's in charge of generating off-season content out of Nebraska football? Like you've had your feet up on the desk. You're like, can you give me something? And they say, nah, we're good.
You've worked on your handicap. I mean, you are
Yeah.
now good with 3-foot putts.
How about the guys making omelets in the new kitchen where they cook? That's kind of what they're confined to.
Remember the first Matt was it? Yeah, it was the first Matt Rule appearance at Big Ten Media Days.
Mhm.
And it was on the heels of a guy that set a record for the fewest words spoken in his opening statement.
Yeah.
We had the little training table episode between volleyball and football. Remember that?
That was super
Maybe-
memorable.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll get something. I don't, maybe we'll get like a little give it here in the next couple of days that, because it's us, we will fret over. But I think Nebraska will be boring. I think they'll show up. They got nice guys representing. They'll say the right things. They're not going to be braggadocious, but people will want to know about the guy that's not there.
Have they been
and-
working harder than ever? Will we get that answer? Than
What-
other seasons? Like,
what if-
are they more together than they've ever been?
What does that matter in June or in July?
That's usually what happens. Like every year, that's what
Like the
happens.
offensive line, like that's been a common theme with the offensive line. Is that the
Yeah.
offensive line is tight? They understand they're veteran guys. That's
They
a
hang
good
out
room.
together.
Yeah.
They go out to eat together.
Yeah.
They live together. They do everything together.
Yeah. Preseason poll
Yeah.
comes out on Monday for the Big Ten. You guys want to take a
I need to get a little coffee. Hold on.
Let's-
I'll be right back.
hurry up, speed up. Okay, around the room here, your number one team, because so the number one team, the worst team, and where Nebraska is.
So the worst team is going to be Purdue. The best team, God, I'm going to go Ohio State because they host Oregon.
Okay.
As good as Oregon is, Oregon a real close second. I have not made my mind up yet because what determines Nebraska as a 6-7 win football team is what they do against Iowa and Illinois. Okay, assuming they don't step on themselves against Maryland or Michigan. There's a lot of 50-50 ball games here, Sharpie. So I think Nebraska finishes 9th. They could finish 12th if they drop one they shouldn't, and then if they don't become a better road team. I think they'll be leaving you wanting a little more at home with the home schedule, specifically with those three big dogs that come in. They'll look closer to what they need to be, but not quite there. So I think Nebraska, I'll put them at 10.
I think a lot of the ballots are already pre-made, and with Nebraska being one of the easiest spots because they're going to be difficult. So I think people will have Nebraska first on their ballot at number 11.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to go. They're probably somewhere in there. They're not a single digit team. Probably not the worst. Calandria probably makes 11. So Nebraska might be the first team that they write in on the ballot, and then Purdue at the bottom. Although Barry Odom's a pretty good coach, Purdue at the bottom. I'm going to Oregon first. So that would be my 3. But I
want to go Oregon, but
I think that Nebraska is such an enigma that but people with the ballot are going to go 11. Could be 10, could be 13, maybe 9, 11.
I think there's 6 teams that are almost certainly going to be ranked below Nebraska, like 6, right? Purdue, Michigan State, Maryland, Rutgers, UCLA, Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA could surprise a little bit, and Northwestern always finds a way. I mean, how they won eight games as recently as they have.
I'm not talking about how they finish. I'm just saying how they're probably going to be ranked,
that's fair.
right?
Yep.
Like going into it, those 6, I think, are behind Nebraska. And then from there, it's where do people slot Minnesota? Where do they slot Wisconsin, right? If you could see maybe Wisconsin and Minnesota getting ranked preseason below. I think Nebraska's ceiling is 10, probably preseason.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's the ceiling.
What do you
Floor
say,
is probably
Sharpie?
12.
I think Oregon's preseason number 1. I think this is, everything is judged on landing on what he does in December. But I think Oregon's the best team in this league. And there are 3 really good. There are 2 really, really good teams. And then Indiana is the defending national champion. But they lost quite a bit. Like if Signetti does it again this year, I mean, you go, oh, Jesus. And he's doing it on the recruiting trail. So I think those are your 3 playoff teams. I think the league desperately needs USC to have a big year.
Yeah.
I think the league needs USC to this be the year. And they definitely have the talent. They have Maeva, but who's the guy that wears a headset? Does he get in the way? I think the Big Ten needs USC this to be a playoff year to possibly get 4 playoff teams. I think the worst team in the league, and I think I'm rare in saying this, and everything you guys said about Barry Odom is true. They haven't won a conference football game since November 25th, 2023. And he's a good football coach, but you got to be better than a good football coach in the Big Ten, or you're going to get clubbed in the head every Saturday. They're not going to be drastically better. I think the team that I would vote the worst in the league, Michigan State. I'm telling you, I think the Maryland game is tougher than the Michigan State game.
Well, so I haven't dove into Michigan State a whole lot. I think you get a little bit of a motivational Fitzgerald bump.
No.
He's a motivator. You get a little bump from him.
Okay, what did I just say? The Big Ten, you've got to be really, really good as a coach. And you also have to have some dudes. So I don't think, like Matt Campbell, Penn State has a cake of a schedule. And they may fall into 8 wins and find a way to win 9. But I'm wondering, this is a great coaching conference. You just don't walk in the door and, swing Johnson around and go, hey, I'm here. Now, he may do that, and you go, that guy can coach wherever he can. That's like Signetti. So Fitzgerald, interesting hire by Michigan State, but it gives him stability. If you go back, he won at Northwestern because they out-fundamentaled people. Well, you're not winning in the Big Ten by just out-fundamentaling people. You got to have some dudes. And Fitzgerald may be better, and he will be better year 2 and year 3. but they're making a big transition. And the league and the sport has changed a bit since he was in it. And he'll have more resources at Michigan State. But I'm not all gung-ho on his first year of like, oh boy, Fitzgerald is back. Because I look at that roster, and it's not a roster that pops to me. So they probably won't finish 18th. But if I'm doing the preseason, I'm looking at them as 18. And I think the only consternation from a Nebraska perspective is it's your first road game. It's Fitzgerald. It's the kind of ball they play. I think the Maryland game the following week will be a stiffer test for Nebraska, even though that's in Lincoln.
Well, think about this, the timeline too. Your first road game at Michigan. The thing that I think, and we talked to our old buddy Jack Ebling a couple weeks ago, and he's not sure about their win total, right? I mean, he could see 4, he could see 5, he could see 3. You don't know about the quarterback. I mean, look at all the other quarterbacks around the country that Michigan State had in their quarterback room at one time or another. They're not there anymore. I do like that Fitz has 3 preseason all Big Ten offensive linemen, first, second, or third team. So he has that on the offensive line. Don't know what they got at running back. People have rated Michigan State. Marsh went elsewhere, right? He's at Indiana now. He was kind of their big play dude, and they got a really good linebacker. But what's their defensive? I mean, Michigan State has traditionally always had guys that, you know, if they get coached up, could play, and they've just been through a lot of drama with Mel and the wrong fit with Jonathan Smith. The wrong league, and now you get Fitz. But yeah, how quickly does he get them respectable is a fair question. Nebraska, though, has not been good. Different year, different team. Understand that on the road in openers or just in openers in general. But your point on Maryland's got talent, got dudes. Their coach is the one that gets in their way.
A returning quarterback who
and
then
then
a lot of people had interest in.
Well, think about Nebraska's mindset too. You are unbeaten. Say you survive Michigan State. Here comes Maryland, but the week later is Indiana. That whole look ahead spot. How do you handle that part of your mentality?
Yeah. Haven't we talked to ourselves, guys? You know, and I think the media has been pretty tempered. You know, like we're starting to ramp up. So there's a lot more articles, a lot more conversation because the season is almost here. But during the off season, I think we were all pretty tempered, especially on this show. One thing that has become pretty prevalent is we're starting to talk ourselves into if Nebraska is not 5-0 getting ready to play Indiana, there's something wrong.
They need to be. It's not really
they do need to be.
It's not up for discussion or debate with this, you know, as daunting as the schedule's been made out to be on paper. Do your work and give the fan base some hope with being 5-0. Put yourself in position. I think. I mean, it wouldn't surprise a lot of Nebraska fans if they aren't 5-0, but I think there'd be a lot of disappointment if they aren't 5-0.
Well, how does that look, though? Again, going back to the MAC games, the MAC championship. If you win those games, I don't want to say comfortably, but the way you should, okay, you go to Michigan State and, all right, you've proven we're better than Ohio like we should, you know, 38-14, 42-20, 38-7, okay? Now you're 3-0 and you go to Michigan State. If you struggle in those 3 games and they're tight, you're going to be tight going to Michigan State. And Michigan State, I would think, after they play Notre Dame, looks at Nebraska as that's one we can probably get, especially if Nebraska limps in at 3-0 as opposed to a dominant 3-0. That's why I think the Michigan State game is so important. I think there's probably more pressure on that game on Nebraska than there is on Michigan State.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, 5-0 for Nebraska is within reach. But how do you play in those opening 3 games? That's why I said earlier, those are the most important 3 games. Because if you're not dominant against those teams that you should be against the schedule that you have coming up, the statement Nebraska would make in the early September could be really, really muted if you have a bad game at Michigan State and then it just steamrolls you and you're not 4-0, not 5. Maryland comes in and steals another one from you. Then it's disaster.
Mm-hmm. And just so folks don't have to open a new tab or pull up the schedule, we're just going to bring you the schedule here. The light blue are the road games. And think about it, Nebraska's only got 4 road games. That's pretty good. You get that draw this year.
Yeah, but they have the dreaded back-to-back road games, which they have not won back-to-back road games since 2006.
Dear God.
Oh, hey,
6.
you guys, yes.
Who'd they beat?
One was Iowa State. Was it Iowa State, K-State?
Players not even
they weren't like one back-to-back weekends on the road, but I'm talking like back-to-back road games.
Jamal Rule wasn't even alive last time Nebraska did it.
Well,
Come on.
I mean, you guys saw the tweet on the 10-year anniversary of the tragedy of the passing of Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler. I mean, there may be some symmetry. You know, Nebraska hasn't won more than 7 games in a season since that 16 year. And I know how that 16 season ended, but considering the circumstances, they were able to navigate their way to be unbeaten and in the top 10 in the playoff ranking going to Wisconsin.
They had a shot that Wisconsin game.
And then that's also the last time they beat a ranked team. So maybe 10 years later, things, you can erase another thing that has lingered for a while. But yeah, the back-to-back road games, I mean, that's a strange, not strange. It's an intriguing November because one's a Friday night game and then the other is out to a trip where, it could be sleepy, could be weather, middle of November in, New Jersey.
Well, Iowa's a road game, by the way, but what is Natty?
Yeah.
Oh, the national championship game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It would be.
Oh God, you're right. It is at Iowa. I'm sorry. This is a bunk. Let me do some editing right here.
It's going to be in real time here. We can see this.
Yeah.
Kids, this is how you edit a
code.
Excel spreadsheet.
I know how to code. Obviously.
I just wanted to see what other tabs you had open, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not that's not happening. I've heard of that screwing people before. Not doing
that marriage lasted well.
Yeah, it would not go well. So yeah, you got 3 road games in November. Am I seeing that right? That is,
yes.
Yeah, you just have
your
Ohio
schedule is
State
right.
and Lincoln.
Yeah.
November before Iowa.
But
before they get Michigan.
Go 2-2.
Yeah,
go 2-2 at least.
The schedule is what it is. You play in the Big Ten. You're going to play 5 to 6 ranked teams a year. You can either look at it as or you can look at it when you're in a position like Nebraska. What a great opportunity! Like, we're not playing those bottom 6 teams that are going to be ranked below Nebraska. We get an opportunity to shut up people. That's how I would look at it.
Yes.
Because but you're playing in the Big Ten. Everybody's going to play a tough schedule. Okay, you're going to have 5 ranked conference opponents at least every year, and the way it sets up, you got to be ready to play in November because the schedule is going to stack up where you're going to get some games in November, and especially if you're successful, they want you on TV. So I mean, you have to live with the schedule, okay, and you have to use it as an advantage other than a disadvantage. Now, at the end of the year, it becomes a disadvantage when you go, Jesus, we should be playing a bottom 6.
We're also seeing macro, the money invested in terms of NIL and those sorts of things. That gap is just going to widen for the haves and have-nots, and I think you'll start to see it some this year because you got to imagine Rutgers is not ponying up nearly enough to truly compete, right? Iowa is probably in the bottom tier for the conference. They have the advantage of a legitimate developmental system that you cannot argue with anymore. And I refuse to partake in the discussion of, well, Iowa doesn't have a quarterback this year, so they're going to every year you say that, right? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. They do not need a quarterback. They can function and get 9 wins with a quarterback that's not even going to make the CFL or even an indoor football league. Like they're just for real. Like those guys, they graduate and then they, open a lawn care company or something. They are not.
It's their team's based on how good their front seven is, Phil Parker, and then what they have on the offensive line.
Now they lost their special teams guru to Michigan State.
Yeah.
All right, and that's I don't know if that'll show itself this year as much, but that's a big loss because they are excellent on special teams, which is another thing that someone brought up in the stream about Nebraska. How many wins was Mike Eckler for Nebraska last year? They were remarkably improved across the board on special
They were
teams,
competent,
especially in the return game.
They were competent, and competency doesn't necessarily win you a game, but it does what it needs to, and it doesn't lose you a game because special teams lost you a lot of games over the previous few seasons.
All right. And by the way, we got Kansas Husker that says Gronowski is on an NFL roster. Okay. Let's see how long that lasts. Let's see how long. And he did have some.
Well, he lasted longer than Pavia on a roster.
He was among the more talented quarterbacks they've had in the last probably 10 years. And he wasn't
Beathard was pretty good.
He held a clipboard for a long time. And I'm not smacking him. I'm saying
but your point about the quarterback at Iowa is you're right. You don't build your roster where the quarterback's got to be on every 12 Saturdays.
They just don't need it to win. That is what I'm saying. I'm not saying all those guys are garbage. I'm just saying they're not a quarterback dependent offense. They're an outside zone, get your offensive line in total unison by October program. That's what they are.
Yeah. They might be, they might be a little bit more dynamic. I do like their hire, and it's not like he just showed up, but Tim Lester now, they're fully ingrained in the Tim Lester offense.
Okay.
So they're at least a little bit more dynamic, but they don't have enough skill guys that you go, oh boy.
No.
They just wait for they're like some other teams in this league where they just wait for you to beat yourself and then they pounce on those mistakes. That's among the CVS receipt list of reasons why they beat Nebraska. That's near the top. Is they wait for Nebraska to implode and then they pounce on those mistakes and you're not able to recover. It's not just Nebraska. They do that too. Watch them when they play Minnesota outside of a bad, punt call.
Yeah. You can't count. I'm just not going to entertain the talk of, well, Iowa's not going to be any good this. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They're going to be 8-9 wins minimum. That's how they roll.
Hey, when you show that schedule, the game that jumped out at me after talking about the first three and all this other stuff, that Rutgers game is in a very precarious spot for Nebraska. And by precarious, I think dangerous, because if Nebraska doesn't have much momentum, which I think they can pick up with a win against Washington at home, but as you're talking about winning back-to-back road games, Illinois will probably not be that easy. It's a Friday night game, but there's something about going to sleepy Piscataway right after it. Right after that game has no atmosphere. Right. Yeah. And then you've got Ohio State looming. Boy, that all of a sudden, just looking at the schedule, you think that's really a dangerous game if you don't have the right mindset where you could get caught.
Yeah.
And that Rutgers game just jumps out at me as I look at that schedule. The back end of the two road games pre-Ohio State and zero atmosphere. It's the Purdue of the East. No atmosphere at the stadium. You don't want to piss off the sanitation people. They can get you whacked. And all of a sudden, you stub your toe going into the last two. I don't like that. I don't like that game for Nebraska.
You can't go in there half loaded and disrespect the pizza parlor. Otherwise, Christopher Maltasante will come after you.
It's another Schnapp stadium. You can hear the bottle get tipped over, and that's not good. there's no
and
appetite.
and
be-
they've got
Be nice.
they've
That's
got
where they film
players
the
and
Cheez-It commercials.
is it?
Yeah.
I have the
The
most
birthplace
pivotal
of college
point.
football.
I think the most pivotal point of the year is right smack in the middle, Indiana, followed by at Oregon. And listen, if you lose at home to the defending national champs and Kirk Cignetti, I don't think people are freaking out, especially if it's a fairly competitive game.
Does
right?
it look like
I
20?
think mentally you can withstand that.
Can't be
but then if you-
56-7, dude. You can't get a nuke dropped on you at home. You got to fight.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so as long as they can go into that locker room afterwards and into the post game being like, damn, that one got away from us. They just beat us. Damn. But then if you follow that up, so say it doesn't go well against Indiana, then you follow that up with a trip to Autzen. And if you get bludgeoned there heading into a bye, I don't like where the team's mental state will be at that point. It shouldn't be like that. I'm not saying it should be like that, but if you get trounced back to back by Indiana and Oregon and then head into a bye, your chance of coming out of that with how delicate Nebraska's mental state has been over a long period of time now, that sets up a I just think that's really pivotal. They got to compete in those two games. And if you can steal one, God bless it.
See, Nebraska, we're going into year 4 rule. His first 2 seasons, his first 2 teams, they got blown out a couple of times. Michigan, right? Yeah. And then also you have the Indiana game. Nebraska's response the following week, they go and kind of surprise at Illinois. They win that game outright on the road.
That was the Sunday practice, right?
Right. And then a year ago, 2 years ago, when they got annihilated at Indiana, they led in the fourth quarter against Ohio State. Yeah. Last year's the first time where they didn't respond after getting blown out.
Yeah.
The roof caved in on them.
Yeah.
Specifically in November when they got just annihilated with Penn State and then Iowa, the way it closed, and
Utah.
Yep. And that was a confidence thing on the defensive side of the ball with the coordinator and the defensive line coach with a lot of the guys on that defense. And the offense was with the backup quarterback. It was limited. You still had Emmett, how many guys run for 200 yards against Iowa? So it really did go downhill. If you look at the trends and results comparatively speaking to the first 2 seasons, at least from a resiliency standpoint. And I'm looking for, that's really what this season will be about for me is, they've got schedules. They've got a schedule. They've got a lot of opportunity. What do you do if you start out hot? Can you sustain it? Can you keep momentum? If you stub your toe, do you respond the right way? And ultimately, do you get better as the season goes on? I mean, when's the last time the team got better and finished strong? And I think we could say 2-2 in November, you'd absolutely buy right now as a Nebraska fan with how you finished the season. It's been a long time since all that's kind of come together. So interested.
Well, to some, you could lop off and say, Nebraska has 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 8 preseason games, and the season begins on a Friday night on November 6th in Champaign. And Nebraska plays a 4-game schedule where they will be favored, as of right now, probably favored in only 1 game, and that's the following week at Rutgers. Kind of going off of what you're saying, Schmidt, is how important November is to finish strong, because Nebraska will start well. I fully believe that they will get out of the gates and they will play well, regardless of the schedule. I think they will look like a competent football team. It's, can your beginning of the year look like the end of your year? Because sometimes they do look similar and you're like, wow, they weren't very good they didn't play great football at the beginning and they look kind of exactly the same. And now they're just playing tougher teams. The mindset is, and let's play this little experiment here. So the Indiana spread will be about 2 touchdowns. The Oregon spread will be nearly 3 touchdowns. And this is the 25th of July. Those games are not until October 10th and October 17th. Which one of those games, in regards to the point spread, will change the most, for the good or the bad?
I think if Nebraska's 5-0, that Indiana game, I would put it at 17.5 to 14.5 right now. I think that thing, if Nebraska's 5-0 and ranked and Indiana's 5-0 and ranked, I think that old familiar feeling as you drive to the sports book, I can get points in Nebraska, and damn it, I'm putting the mortgage on the Big Red. This is the year. This is it. So I think you could see that number moving down to 10, 10.5, 9.5 maybe, because, maybe it'll be a magical night game in the stadium. Who knows? But that point spread could swing.
Well, you guys, how much do you guys pay attention to Nebraska's record against the spread?
A little bit. I mean, they've struggled as favorites. They've been okay as underdog. They've had some backdoor covers. And then there's just some gut feels like time and space, specifically with the Ohio State game. Again, I mention it because I felt like, all right, I think Nebraska can respond. Ohio State probably has a lot of disrespect for Nebraska in the sense that Nebraska is reeling right now, and Ohio State, I think, had Indiana the following week, or somebody that was of more importance, a bigger name from a rank standpoint. So it fell right. Nebraska has those opportunities this year. If you look at who who Ohio State plays after they play Nebraska, look at who Indiana plays after they play Nebraska, look at Oregon, who they play after they play Nebraska. You've got some good spots where, do you respect the game? Do you respect the opponent? That's all part of this equation for me. So I'm sure you have some numbers here, Sharpie, with what Nebraska does as a favorite or as a dog.
They're about 500.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
under Matt Rule. Like to the Bill's point earlier about the first 2 games, I mean, you're going to be because the Ohio spread is 23.5. That's been out there. I imagine Bowling Green, which is preseason 9th in the MAC, and Ohio's preseason 4th, will probably be 3 or 4 points higher. The North Dakota game won't necessarily be on the board, but those are the only 2 games where you're going to be like more than a 2 touchdown favorite. I think it'll be a slight. I think it'll be close to a double figure favorite of Michigan State, possibly. Maryland will be around a touchdown. It'd be a good sign if you were a favorite, according to Vegas, with Washington coming to town.
Here's one thing about Indiana. When that game falls, okay, Nebraska wins the MAC championship, beats Michigan State, and has a good win at home against Maryland. Those last 2 are probably going to tell you something, prove something about Nebraska. Indiana, I was just looking at their schedule, because last year, remember, they opened up with Old Dominion, Indiana State, and Kennesaw State. So their schedule this year, they have North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, Northwestern, and Rutgers.
Yep.
And those aren't exactly, final exam type, games. So you figure they're going to be really, really good, but they had a very magical season last year. You got a couple of plays that really went your way. The catch at Penn State, maybe the play of the year, just those magical moments where you go, yeah, that's their year. Is there anything in these first 5 games or so before they play Nebraska where you're going to go, yeah, we haven't exactly have a good idea of what Indiana is going to be like this year? Yeah, they're going to be good, but are they going to be magically delicious this year? Right? So Nebraska, a road game in October 10th after their opening slate might be their first decent test of the season. So that's why I'm not sure the point spread's going to be all that high, because the strength of schedule for Indiana going into that game is not exactly tough. It's just going to be on reputation in all likelihood.
Well,
Yeah.
it starts the stretch for the Hoosiers.
Geez, it's a tough stretch.
At Nebraska, they host Ohio State. They're at Michigan. To your cover or favorite or underdog setup, Nebraska last year.
Thank you, Phil Steele.
Yeah, well, it's right here. As a dog against Michigan, they were +1, lost by 3, covered that number. They got the dirty cover against Sparty at home. They did not cover as a favorite, -6 at Maryland. They were a 7-point favorite at Minnesota, down by 1 at halftime. That was a psycho moment. They were -7 and pushed against Northwestern, so they responded. That was a tense game. +4 at home, push against SC. +1 at UCLA, win outright. They were a 7-point dog at Penn State, got beat by 27. They were a 6-point home dog against Iowa and got beat 40-6.
What was the spread in Vegas? That was healthy, wasn't it?
Probably what, 8.5.
They were +14 against Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, Utah.
Yeah, and got rocked. But I think they were up. Were they up 14-0 in that game?
Yeah, Mekhi Nelson exploded onto the scene. They were running an offense that you're like, man, I've not seen this before.
Yeah.
Latif is healthy.
Yeah.
And then reality hit.
And then Latif couldn't complete a ball past 5 yards.
Well, then you couldn't stop. He had no shot on the front.
Utah's quarterback
stopping a cold.
Nuts. That guy was so good.
And he's back. And remember,
Uh-huh.
they have two quarterbacks at Utah. They have that Ficklin, who is his backup that played in that game that they really, really like, that they've got to find a way to get him on the field. But yeah, Dampier he was perfect for that offense. I thought that was and you remember they had a couple of key opt-outs with NFL offensive linemen. I thought that was a really good Utah team.
Yeah, they'll kind of challenge for the Big 12 this year, them and BYU. As we wind it down, fellas, as the weekend edition here, Average Joe Sports Show, it's the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Mark Kraynak, Pride of Fairbury's Bill Doleman. We will get things handled once Elijah's back with the infamous spreadsheet. Anything stick out to you, SEC Media Days? Were you kind of surprised how, Ole Miss had their moments, and there's a lot of Lane dislike by some other coaches, or that he was the talking point, but he wasn't super bulletin board on his day.
Well, he's still talking
on Thursday.
for one. Yeah, he's still talking. So there is that, Lane Kiffin.
Mhm.
What was it, a 16-minute opening statement?
It was over 20. It was a filibuster.
Yeah, exactly. So well played on that. Brett Bielema kind of does that.
He referenced Hulk Hogan. If you didn't know Hulk Hogan had died, and it was like the year anniversary.
Yeah.
Really? Hulk's been gone a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Talked about him and his dad, but Lane's Lane. I think the big thing out of SEC Media Days was Greg Sankey's opening day conversation about we might secede from the union. That was
shocking in the South.
Yeah.
I mean that to me was like that they've had conversations, and then he said, well, I kind of wish that had not gotten out. Well, you got a monster league with a bunch of egos, and you start talking about, well, we're just going to go our own way. I thought that was an interesting, and now they're not going to, but the fact that they're having those conversations, I think is interesting given the climate of college football and Congress and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
how does the session work out for you, South?
I can see I can see, a 40-team super league. I just don't know if I can see Nebraska in it. If they get the invite, unless they start kind of cranking up their beyond. I mean, their brand's not the problem. Their history is not the problem. Their
Time out.
Nebraska
Time
would
out.
be in it.
their
Nebraska
current
would be in it.
ability.
Time out.
Nebraska would
Time
be
out.
in it.
You just said a 40-team Super League, and you wonder if Nebraska would be in it.
Are you going off of history and eyeballs, or are you going off of the best 40? Where are you at as a program right now?
You're going.
You don't think?
If that happens, it's going off TV ratings. Period. And Nebraska's floor is high.
No, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying current on-field product.
Oh yeah. I mean, if that's what it was based off of, then no. But if that happens, they're basing it off of eyeballs, basing it off of media. And even if Nebraska's terrible, they draw a pretty high floor, you know?
So where are you in the pecking order of that top 40?
Yeah.
You're inside of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even to me. That's not a conversation. You're inside of it because if you're just doing off of results on the field, then we're doing the relegation sport, right?
Yeah.
But if you're doing it on the value that a school brings in terms of eyeballs and passion and butts and seats.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you move on to the next team. You're like, hey, welcome Nebraska. Go find a seat.
Yeah, it's who wants to invest the amount of money that it takes to be at the party in Nebraska. We talked about this yesterday and several other times. Nebraska wants to play at that level. It's part of the reseeding and the ticket conversation. All of that. It's people are interested. People here are interested around the country. Nebraska travels. It's got a volleyball program that's going to play at Wrigley Field, Jerry World, and in Vegas because it's the biggest brand in the world. Nebraska wants to play the game at the highest level and is willing to invest the money.
Yeah.
My question, not because I don't think Nebraska would be the one, but at what point will there be a school or maybe schools that just say, you know what, we're out. We don't want to do this anymore. We can't afford it. Rutgers is $500 million to the bad academic. Iowa State, is always they're our little brother to Iowa, and I love Iowa State. But at some point, the continual ask of donors and alumni to say we want to compete at this level, and hopefully we can win 7 games a year in football. It's not just football; it's a blanket athletic department, and they're going to cut teams and they cut academic resources or whatever it is. At some point, some schools are going to have to say, "We're out. We're not going to be in the Big Ten anymore. We can't compete that way, even though it's academic prestige." But I think that there's going to be some schools that say, "Can we get into the Mountain West? Can we get into the Atlantic Sun and the Sun Belt? Because that's really where we are budgetarily, and we do want to be an academic institution. The rest of you guys can play college pro football, but somebody is going to have to step out of the game, back away from the table, and just go to a lower level."
I think the only way that happens, Bill, is if they start to do the distribution of TV money and it's not equal across the board. Because that TV check feeds families, even at places like Rutgers where they're struggling. But if you start to divvy it up and say, hey, Ohio State should get more than Rutgers, and that gap opens up, and now, everybody is similar across the board, then I think that's when you see some schools go, oh, okay, to follow your point. But that TV check, it cashes every year. It cashes, and that keeps programs alive. And as long as that keeps coming, and you're getting the same amount of money that Ohio State is, even though you don't have the resources to reinvest in football, but you still get that check to keep other sports alive and to keep the lights on, I think you stay in the Big Ten.
How long does Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon want to keep accepting equal pay if this opportunity comes up to join a super league, and you get your commission check based on what you do, not only on the field but from a viewership and branding standpoint? Because USC and Michigan are both private institutions, and they've whined in the past about what they bring to the party. And
Well, Notre Dame,
we should be getting more. Yeah, Notre Dame for sure.
Yeah. I think there's this whole model, like college football has gotten bigger than the NCAA. And college football is king. And the world revolves around college football, some places for the good, some places for the bad. I think if you're running an athletic department and how much of an operation that college football has become, you actually need to take college football out of your athletic department and run as its separate entity, because it skewers your budget with the rest of your athletic department. Because the college football model financially is not even close to anything else, any other sport that you have in your athletic department. And I would almost think it'd be better just to make it as a separate, where it's on its own, which a lot of places it is, but it's under the umbrella. I
that's
think
what funds a lot of the other sports, though, right?
It does,
all of them.
But it skewers the whole budget and athletic program. It would almost be smarter to take it out of the athletic program, have it as an entity, but it still is part of your athletic department. And then you run 16 other sports, and then you run this beast that is a Fortune 500 company, which, I think every athletic department that plays in the world of the Nebraskas, Ohio States, Michigans, all of those, is you have to look at your business as a Fortune 500 company and run it that way. And that's where it gets, to Bill's point, a little bit scary as we get further and further down the road of what sports should stick around, what sports should we fund, what sports should be on their own. But it's such an arms race right now. Look at facilities are being built for golf, for tennis. Now, there are some of those sports that are being cut a lot easier. At some point, the money is going to hit the wall, or the people that have the money are going to hit the wall. But we're driving 85 miles an hour on the Autobahn. There are no guardrails, and we can drive off the road and drive through, open fields, and somehow we'll find our way back onto the Autobahn. It's really, if you, and you guys already know this, it's kind of scary about where college athletics is headed. And it's like a desperate plea to have Congress and the Capitol help us. But we don't want it. We want to take care of ourselves. I think what we're eventually headed to, and nothing operates with the speed of sound when it comes to college athletics. I think we will get to a point where conferences will govern themselves. They will just say, you know what, we got to do something. We have the ability with our 18 schools. Let's just govern ourselves.
And then they'll have sort of like they'll abide by a few joint federation rules.
Yeah.
There needs to be a college UN.
But there could be sort of a old school American League, National League, where one league has a designated hitter and the other one doesn't.
But don't you think like Oregon State and Washington State, they got left behind by UCLA, USC, Washington, and Oregon, and they were the Pac-12 with just the two of them. But don't you think there is probably a semblance of relief that they are in the reassembled Pac-12, but they are with more institutions that budgetarily are similar? Some are having to step up a little bit, like Texas State, but Oregon State is not, and Washington State are not having to go, we got to compete with Washington. We got to compete with Oregon and all these. You know what? Our budget is now comparable to the teams that are in our conference, and some are having to invest a little bit more, like I was saying, like a Texas State or something. But the Pac-12 as it is right now is a nice, safe place for teams that have some brand recognition a little bit, and they have some that are climbing that hill and wanting to say, hey, we're at the party, but they don't have the pressure of the day in and day out corporate business operations of the SEC and the Big Ten. I think if I'm Oregon State and Washington State, I'm happy as hell right now that I have the budget that I have, and I can try to win a conference, and we just go about our seasons and we do what we do, but we don't have the pressure of trying to match Big Brother across the way. Like I'm saying with Iowa State and Iowa. And Iowa State's in a different conference, but I mean, Jamie Pollard is retired, and they're just in this cycle where they're going to be playing catch up. And I don't think that they necessarily can. And you do have programs that are just waiting to spend the money. BYU prints it below the temple. SMU cannot wait to bring the blueprint from 1983 back and 84 back and say, we are in. You know, we are on the Autobahn, and we got a car that's been gassed up since the 1980s.
It's a goal. It's a maroon Trans Am.
Right,
I will
exactly.
give you,
but there are some that are on the Autobahn driving a 79, Corolla that's just going to get run over, and they don't want to have to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad, Bill, and you know this pretty well because you spent time, a good majority of your professional career in the state of Texas, and so from afar you've watched SMU. I'm glad you brought them up because there was a sneaky thing. I don't know if you guys have looked deep into the thing that's in Congress, but there is in there a cap on conferences at 19. So you can't have more than 19 teams. So if you're the Big Ten, you're adding one more. You know, with the SEC, they have ability to add. I'm glad you brought up SMU. SMU is a very interesting school that made the jump to the ACC. And Bill knows this, and he was alluding to it, and others do. There is so much money in the Metroplex that is attached to SMU. If you look at their campus, not necessarily their athletic facilities, but their campus, they're building, they're growing. They have so much deep-pocketed people that want SMU to be good that if SMU, and remember they were in the playoff a couple years ago.
Yeah, they were a CFP.
Yeah, and they got a Heisman, kind of an interesting Heisman Trophy candidate this year with the quarterback that was on that team. But they made a big splash with Andy Enfield as their basketball coach. They are in Dallas. They're in the state of Texas, where you don't have state income tax. Jesus, that is such a great thing. Is there's a lot of money there that SMU would be a candidate to be like the next school to make the jump, because it was just 5 years ago that Oklahoma and Texas made the jump. SMU could be the next one, but everything is about money. I ask you guys this because we hear the head football coach talk about it. I hope he doesn't go there on Thursday in Chicago, but sometimes he can't help himself when he talks about money and where Nebraska fits. Even though they found some money this offseason for linemen and a running back at Iowa Western, which is a good sign. Do you guys think Nebraska has enough money to compete? Maybe they don't have what's on the field, because you got to get that right as well. You just can't spend money and expect to win. You got to have some guys that can coach and some dudes that can play. But do you guys truly believe that Nebraska either doesn't or does have the funds to be able to compete?
They absolutely have the funds to compete. Whether those funds get shut off or not to the coach's liking depends on what he does with what they've spent the money on. I think that's the rub right now is, all right, dude, we like you. You're engaging, win. You want more money, win. Because right now I think there's hesitancy with what have you spent the money on and why hasn't it been better? That's the hold up right now for future funds, in my humble opinion. Yes, on SMU, you'd be the only show from the great state of Texas in the Big Ten. I mean, think about how crowded, and I know you kind of are too in the ACC, but it's apples, oranges, ACC versus the Big Ten versus always trying to be relevant in the Big 12 days. SMU was not considered really. And then the Southwest Conference era, I mean, you ticked off your neighbors because, well, we're going to cheat and we're going to cheat right because got a payroll to meet. So that's my take on the money part. It's there. It's enough of it's there to win more than they have.
I don't think Nebraska will ever be top 5 or top 10 in total spend.
Till Uncle Warren changes his mind, but
That's right. It's just they won't, but they'll be top 20, top 30. I think pretty regularly. I think you can go ahead and take that to the bank. What Nebraska is going to need to do to compete is find some sort of other advantage beside. Like, they'll have enough money to be able to step on the field and belong on the field, but from there, what happens? And you can say it's coaching, you can say it's developmental, but imagine sort of Iowa's blueprint with Nebraska money. right? Take Iowa's blueprint, Nebraska's money. You're probably in the playoffs a couple times.
And
you know?
and the big reason is that blueprint's phenomenal, but also their coaching staff and their head man have been incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coaching matters. Money matters, but guys, you know, you either, and that's where, like, one of the things at the end of the year, I want to be able to look at Matt Rule and go, yeah, all right, he's in that good tier of coaches in this league, because this is a great coaching conference. Man, coaching still matters. Signetti now has some money. He was winning before they got money. Now they're
Dave
winning.
Van Horn in it, wasn't he?
Yeah, and they have money, and I mean, he's a really good coach. But there's another part of the coaching in the Big Ten, is what do you do if you're at the top all the way to your staff, the bottom of your staff? What does it look like in between? Are you making the right hires to compete in the Big Ten conference, Bill?
Well, this is the year to find out, because the last couple of years, the grade would not be good. But you've got Orich, you've got Wade, what you've done on named Corey Brown, the guys on the defensive line. This ought to be his best staff. He's had a couple of years to figure out the personalities that he wants on his staff. He's got the money to pay the people to come in and be on his staff. Now you got to let them do their job.
Yeah.
So it goes back to, do they have the money? Yep. Because clearly it's a staff of 17. So, right?
At least.
So they've invested in coaches. They're investing in facilities. It's Nebraska. Nebraska wants to play the game, and to invest in if this is a developmental program, this would be the staff, I think, that would start to put that building block into the foundation. Because he's had people on the staff that did not mesh. Butler was not a good fit, obviously. Eckler was a great fit for Nebraska, but not for Matt Rule.
Well, this would be the discussion about, you know, like I'm fascinated by this whole season, because I agree with what you said, Bill. This is their best roster. Now, is it 85 deep where they can trudge all the way to November? I don't know that it's a deep enough roster with enough dudes to get over the top, but it's by far their best roster, and it's his best staff. Is the thing with Orich that is fascinating to me, because I think as we went back last year, the football IQ on defense was not always on point. The scheme was, you know, it was a 3-ring circus. It did not fit their personnel. Can Rob Orich in his first year, can him and his staff on that side of the ball just put guys in the right place? You know, can they make the right call? Can guys be in the right place with the scheme? And then you go, yeah, you see why we got to get more defensive linemen, because we have guys there. They just aren't able to make the play right now. But that's part of, like, looking inside of your program and going, okay, what do we need? You know, but you've run out of mulligans in terms of reconfiguring your staff, in my opinion.
Well, and also, I mean, from a attribute standpoint or a trade standpoint, I mean, you've spent the money to go get a guy that should be a top 2-round pick in the NFL in Winery. You spent the 7 figures to get him. Now, that's on one hand, all right, did you make a sound investment to get the production? Or 2, did you biff coaching him up? I mean, it's one or the other. So that's back to the money conversation, right? That's a prime example. You've spent money on 4/5 of your offensive line. Well, 5 out of 5 to retain the 2 that are coming back, and 3 newbies you added. You spent money to go get an older quarterback. You spent money to become an older football team. So all those things really need to hit. How soon do they hit? And how does this talent you've invested in stack up to the talent you're facing every Saturday?
Yeah. Nebraska's spent enough money to be
better than 7
on
and 5.
Special teams, good on defense, good on offense. And the fact that, you know, you finished 7 and 5 last year, and you're giving up 4.82 on the ground. Right? It's just and so when you think about Rob Orich coming in, it's like, dude, can you get that to 4?
Well,
So it's at
he
least middle of
fixes
the
things
road,
quick,
right?
supposedly, right?
So it's like Nebraska doesn't have to be exceptional. They just have to close some gaping holes. And it's like Nebraska spends enough, recruits well enough that they should not have gaping holes anywhere. They shouldn't. You should be at least average across the board, running the ball, throwing the ball, pass protecting, blocking, special teams, defense. You should be at least average in everything. But Nebraska has these like fatal flaws every single year, it seems like. You look at rules first here. Fatal flaw was just a putrid offense. Like, the hell was happening there?
Poor choice of quarterback.
Ridiculous.
And
like, absolutely
coordinator.
ridiculous. Yeah. Then you go into the next year, and running the ball was really hard. They couldn't do it. Last year, you can't pass protect and you can't stop the run. Like, you're not even holding serve.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, you spend enough money that you should be at least okay everywhere. They somehow end up with these fatal flaws.
Well, I think you have to have I think at Nebraska, you have to have a roster, because this is the head coach. You have to have a roster that is able to overcome some faux pas from the sidelines on Saturdays. And I think that's
talent makes it all okay.
Well, I mean, sometimes you need the human eraser, somebody that can, hey, that's not a good play call, but I just made it a great play call, and you'll never know what the play call was because I'm very, very good. The Saturdays are the thing that Nebraska has to overcome, and it's not just the players. It's decision making during the course of a game. It's what does it look like when you come out in the third quarter and the numbers are skewed, not skewed, that's the wrong word, are so lopsided. When you maybe go into the locker room playing well, you come out of the locker room that third quarter, all of a sudden the game is turned upside down. I mean, there's just a lot of things that have to come together for Nebraska to be good. But I think in this case, until I see something different during the course of kickoff to the final gun on a Saturday, I think your roster has to be better than your guy on the sidelines. And there's some schools in this league where they're able to match both. That guy on the sidelines on Saturday, man, he is and he's got the players to do it. And then there are some that probably are better on the sidelines than they are on the field. But at some point, you're going to get beat. But it's a conference. Again, I go back to this kind of a theme that I've had today is this is a really good coaching conference. And if you're not a good coach, you get exposed quickly.
That's what's so intriguing about Calandria this year. Turning the offense over to a player like that is just the variability that he brings. You don't have to have the perfect play call for him to bail you out. And you're getting him after being a 3-year starter at the Division I level. The guy has seen a ton of football. He's not going to be perplexed by, some sort of exotic defense, and he's not going to be overwhelmed by crowds and things like that. The guy, right? Like, so
you hope.
Well, what's your decision making
right?
like? Are you forcing it or living to fight another play?
Yeah, right. But he brings that variability where things don't have to go perfectly well for him to be able to bail you out. And Nebraska hasn't had that in a while, and he just came off of, getting coached by Dan Mullen, who's a quarterback whisperer, and you don't forget that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's what's so intriguing about him is he can he take a bunch of hits from Big Ten linebackers? No, you don't want that, of course. But can he get you out of some jams? Yeah, like he can. And the only way Raiola could do that last year was by threading a perfect ball while he had no time to do so. So it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. Yeah. That's what makes it so intriguing. I like Nebraska sticking with playmaking type quarterbacks in order to break through and compete with the Ohio States and the Michigans and the big spenders, USC and all that. You better have something that's a little bit different. You're just straight straight pedestrian offenses with the drop back, that's probably not going to work out for you. It's probably not.
But this is not going to be an easy transition for Calandria. Maybe it will be, but he was a backup, or no? Did he start at Virginia?
He started a few games.
Well, okay, but still,
he started 2 years.
But still, it's Virginia and the ACC. And look, I love the Mountain West. Whatever iteration it is, it's a soft spot in my heart. It is not lining up against what you see week in and week out in the Big Ten. And Nebraska's discovered that collectively as a team. And now you're asking him to come from UNLV, where, Boise State was your tough opponent, Nevada was your rival. This is just going to be a different week in and week out animal for him. I think the most positive thing, and the starting experience is important. The most positive thing is that Dan Mullen was his coach.
Yeah.
Because Mullen has coached at that level. Now, how many conversations have they had since then to say, okay, son, I'm sending you off to Nebraska. We wish you'd stayed here. You could have been a UNLV legend forever, but we wish you luck, and this is what you need to be prepared for. And Dane Holgerson, here are some plays, and we heard from his interview earlier this week that there are some of the things that he was doing at UNLV that apparently are going to be implemented in Nebraska's playbook. So when the play is called on the sideline, it should be familiar and run on the field. There should be no miscommunication there. But the level of play consistently week after week after we hit the month of October is going to be unlike anything he has seen. And maybe he will thrive. The dude at Mississippi, at Ole Miss, goes from Division II.
You're right.
And takes his team to the playoff. Okay, but he didn't start right away. But I think that's an anomaly. To go from 2 to the CFP is amazing.
Well, Cam Ward, also obscure Wazoo, Miami. But those are the two. Do you get
it's possible? I agree, it's possible.
Do you get a Chambliss and Ward type impact? Do you get a Maeva impact? He was at UNLV. Thank you, Anthony, for the Maeva shout out. Or are you somewhere below that? I mean,
I agree that it's possible. I agree that it's possible, but it is a big jump to go from the Mountain West to the weekly grind of the Big Ten, especially when you are the quarterback on a team that people are hoping you go from, let's hopefully go from 6-6 to 7-5 to 8-4, 9-3. That's a big ask. And he might be great. I hope he is. I'm more excited for Nebraska's quarterback play this year than certainly last year.
Sure.
I wonder how much of the go-go stuff Nebraska is going to run. I wonder if Calandria was alluding to some of that. UNLV runs it's a really innovative offensive scheme. It's one of the bigger innovations in the sport in quite some time, where you got a couple backs on one side, so you're really working on numbers kind of pre-snap, getting that advantage. Really unique stuff that a lot of people don't see, a lot of defenses don't see. And they were scoring 40 plus a game with stuff like that. So I don't know if Nebraska is going to run some of that stuff, but that's interesting. If you can have, an offensive scheme that other teams just don't see, like what did Nebraska do that other teams don't see? That you don't see often. And in Tom Osborne's best years, like that was an advantage. You ran an offense that other teams didn't run. And so that made you a tough out. It seems like Nebraska has to adopt something that is unique. It's different to where you stand out.
And it'll be comfortable with it. Okay, it doesn't have to be the entire UNLV playbook, whoever put that in the screen. It's just some stuff that he is comfortable running in certain situations. 3rd and 8. Okay, we know you're good here. 3rd and 6, 2nd and 10, whatever. It could be a dozen plays that could be, tattooed on his arm. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, run that. Okay, I got that one. I get it. And not be too complex. So,
It's the Iron Horse. It's Gary Sharp, Pride of Fairbury's Bill Doleman, the award-winning Mark Kraynak. Chris Schmidt, and we appreciate you hanging out, spending time. Weekend edition that's gone. God, it's been fun. We're almost at 10 o'clock. Weekend edition turns into Sunday Live tomorrow at 10:30. Kraynak will get you a link.
And send it along.
Elijah will
Have that
continue
spreadsheet ready.
his bachelor party weekend and be back with us next week as he is on assignment. Big thanks to Brandon Vogel and Sharpie. Appreciate you popping in. Bill, always appreciate you, bud. Kraynak, you're awesome. Chris Schmidt,
One
we'll
more
to
thing. I got some restaurant recommendations for Chicago. I don't remember the exact names, but I was there recently and it was, team dinners and stuff like that. Couple of phenomenal spots. One with a beautiful view of Lake Michigan. It's on like the 6th floor. It's fantastic. I'll send that your way unless you already have it figured out. Do you guys already have all your meals figured out?
No.
That connoisseur expense account. That's huge. Send them their way.
No, I'm telling you.
We're going to be splitting Arby's.
They got the meats.
Is that a local place in Chicago, Bill?
Yeah, they got the meats.
We are staying at the Warwick Allerton, Chicago. That's the old Sinatra Rat Pack Chicago outfit kind of club / bar at the top of the hotel. So that's South Michigan Avenue, and it's about a mile from the Fugitive Hilton, where the Radio Row party starts. So
good hotel.
Have you been there?
I've been by it. I know of it. I know some people that have stayed there. You guys will enjoy that hotel. The rooms are a little tight. I mean, you don't guys have to sleep in the same bed or anything.
No, we don't.
But it's it's a little tight quarters, but it's unique.
Bill's suddenly had some technical difficulties. He's still pissed that we're roommates. It's bad enough he had to spend.
I would be too. There's no reason that men that are our age should be sharing rooms.
Other than budget.
Touche.
Yeah,
you're not far from where I was, so I think these would be good spots. I'm gonna recommend those. One more thing too, Jack Caglione.
Oh, sweet God!
He's back today.
16 bombs.
Is he back?
Yeah, just because he's on my fantasy team, and I just got an update that he's been upgraded to healthy, so I might have to insert him into the lineup today. Oh yeah, he's batting third.
Good. Yeah, they're all in on him at this point, which is good.
Not in on winning.
Oh no, this is problematic. I was Bill's roommate in college. You should be worried.
Do you sleepwalk? Do you sleep in the nude?
No.
Okay.
No.
That wasn't for me personally that I wanted to know, but I was just trying to put two and two together.
Bill will
here.
be getting the 3:45 a.m. nebulizer wake up call, and then Bill will grab a tack hammer and go to town on me. So,
or I'll build a deck in the room apparently because that's what Jug Buzz and I did. But
wow.
I remember. By the way, I remember one of the places now. Here, I'll share the screen. You're welcome. Hold on.
Kraynak, we've roomed on road trips. Camp KOA
in Elkhart, Indiana. Yep.
Jamar Johnson, shout out.
Yep. I know. What's up? So this is it. Cindy's Rooftop is what it's called. Look at that.
No,
how is Cindy?
Right?
We were all there in high school. We went to Cindy's Rooftop.
Look at that. See that? Not bad though, huh?
That's pretty inexpensive looking.
Oh, come on.
You have to wear. Do you have to wear pants?
You drop.
What kind of party is it?
You can wear shorts there. You drop serious Jack on meals on the road, Chris. Let's not trip here.
No, I know I do.
Yeah, come on. You spare no expense. I don't think it's that expensive. It's not like steak chop house necessarily. They have steaks. But yeah, if you guys want a little romantic, evening, which I'm sure you do, before you climb into bed together.
You sick bastard.
Bill's out. Bill's out.
Just make sure when you go in to have the comforts of the room, crank that temp up, man. Put that into the 80s.
What kills the bed bugs? Because Chicago is the #1 ranked city in America consecutive years for bed bugs.
So go to the upper right corner of your bed, pull back the covers, and if you see on the sheet that is next to the bed, if you see little gray dots, say we need another room.
Okay.
That's one of the signs to see if it has bed bugs.
Oof.
Yeah. And
got
also
nothing
asked if
for you
anybody's
there.
been killed in that room.
Yeah.
Well, this hotel is apparently haunted.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
see if like
Well, fun.
a ghost was their last resting spot.
I think I think there's a few orders carried out by the outfit once upon a time.
Sir, we don't have a 13th floor.
Back tomorrow. Appreciate you all. And like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show. YouTube 7 days a week. Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. Instagram, and get the merch for the upcoming season with the Average Joe Team Store. You can get yourself a lid, quarter zip, golf shirt, bikini. Not for if you're into wearing bikinis or mama just likes wearing a bikini. Of course, the swimming trunks. Love it. Guys, you're awesome. Appreciate it. Kraynak. We'll let you.
Godspeed.
All right.
Godspeed.
Talk to you again.